Hello and welcome to this new day of the eSailing Nations Cup 2023. Today is going to be a very special day as we have three matches happening, the first one being what we're here for right now, France versus Japan in Group A. So having a look at the standings, we'll see that both teams are at the top of their group. So both teams will move on to the semifinals. The question is just who will be first, who will be second. The first of Group A will go up against the runner-up of Group B, while the runner-up of Group A will go against the first of Group B. First up is going to be, well, the 2v2 mixed star race. Currently waiting for the players to join the water. We'll be starting any minute now. So France and Japan are actually old rivals. Since the beginning of the competition, they have always gone against each other in the early stages of the competition. The first year of the eSailing Nations Cup, ever happened, Japan won against France, and ever since France has won against Japan, so Japan will be wanting to take their revenge. Switching to the water, we will see that on the French side, we have Baban and Barbie. So Barbie is a regular in the French roster for their female e-sailer, as she's their female e-sailing representative, and Baban, we've seen him before in the eSailing Nations Cup Grand Final 2023 in Trieste. On the Japanese side, we have Kanako, very strong female player as well. We've seen her several times this year in the course competitions, accompanied by Muimui. Muimui, also a very strong sailor that you will regularly see at the top of the leaderboards and in various competitions throughout the year. So first up is the Star. As you can see, the Star is, one of the slower boats in the competition, but has this huge wind shadow of between 40 and 50 meters, if I recall correctly. So a lot of the strategy is going to be on the downwinds, whether they want to be the chaser or the chased. We will see what they decide to do. First penalty here for Kanako from, it might have been Baban or Barbie, as the players start approaching the start line over here. And yeah, looks like a false start for Muimui. Baban doing a very good start and trying to keep the two Japanese in his wind shadow. Also a penalty for Barbie. She takes another penalty given by Kanako. As Kanako goes to the left-hand side to avoid Baban's wind shadow, who is staying on top of Muimui. Just to do a quick shout out to the chat, welcome Vichjevsky. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. And in PP, it's nice to see you in the chat. So all the boats are going towards this left-hand side of the course. Baban still in the lead, covering the Japanese Muimui, and Trap Barbie just below Muimui over here. Kanako coming in as well on that ley line. So that ley line is the most direct path to the mark, by taking into account the wind at the mark. So which is why you'll see it shift a bit like this. The wind is going to shift, so the ley lines are going to move with the wind over here. So Baban's still in the lead, Barbie trapped between the two Japanese, Kanako and Muimui. So in team racing, the scores is the addition of all the position of each member of the team. So in a 2v2 match race, team race, sorry, the team with the player crossing the start line at the end is going to lose that round. So far in the competition, Japan has had a rough start. So France won every game, 5-0, clean slate for them. Japan have struggled a bit more against Germany and Switzerland, giving them in both matches the first two rounds. So Japan has yet to win rounds in a 2v2 star in this competition. Maybe part of their strategy, maybe they want to save themselves for the later rounds and give away these first two rounds, but maybe not. We'll see how they decide to go with it. Players approaching the mark over here. We see Baban still in lead, trying to do a mark wrap on Kanako that she manages to escape, and she manages to put a penalty on Barbie, who is now at the back of the fleet. Though that might not stay for long, because as I said, the Star has a very long wind shadow and a very effective wind shadow, so everything can still change. Don't hesitate if you're watching us in the stream to tell me from where you're watching. I'm currently located in France to to witness this match of France versus Japan, these old rivals of the eSailing Nations Cup. Hey, it's Franklin. Hope you're well. So Baban in the lead. I think he might be in Barbie's wind shadow. She might want to steer a bit more onto her right hand side to get closer to Kanako and give a more free air to Baban. As we're probably going to see a duel over here between Mumui and Baban. Mumui trying to catch up Baban to put him a penalty and get in front. Hey, sweet sailor, sorry, nice to see you. How's Sweden? Okay, and we managed to give a penalty to both French players, so that is a terrific move by him. And Kanako can safely go to the mark and take the advantage. So for the star, as I've mentioned earlier, each player has their preferences. Sometimes you prefer being chased, sometimes you prefer being the chaser. It looks like the Japanese, prefer to be the chasers over here, as they managed to catch up on the French and are now in the leading 1-2 position. But to each player, their strategy. Cold and miserable, but waiting for races tonight. Yeah, I'm excited to see these races tonight. So we have 3 matches today. So the first one, France and Japan, that we see right here. And later on at 9 p.m. we're going to see Germany versus Switzerland for the last match of Group A. And then Sweden's second match against, this time, Italy, to try to get into these top 2 position in Group B. So best of luck to you tonight, sweet sailor. It's going to be a tough match for sure. So Japan's still slightly in the lead. Barbie did manage to catch up, is more or less at the same level as Mumui and Kanako. Baban is not far behind either, so it's going to be a tight downwind again. I'm interested in knowing what you guys think actually. Do you guys prefer being the chaser or the chased in the downwind on the star? Basically, do you prefer trying to keep the opponent in your wind shadow behind them, or do you prefer trying to avoid the wind shadow of your opponent behind you? So Barbie just managed to put a penalty on Mumui. She's gonna reach the mark zone first and give a second penalty to Mumui, which is good for Baban, because if France manages to stay in this position 2 and 3, they will get the round. As if you finish last in the 2v2, you lose that round, and that will be a 1-0 for France. You prefer being the chased one on the downwind. Interesting. Yeah, so to each their own. And Tom Franklin, you prefer the chase. Well, it's going to be we're going to witness that right now as Barbie takes on Kanako, and Mumui and Baban are going to battle it over there on the center of the course. Just as a reminder, Japan has never won a 2v2 mixed star race in this competition yet, so if they do manage to pull it off, it will be the first time. And it would also be the first time that France loses a round in this competition. That's why you never caught Sweet Sailor yet, Tom. Okay, so it looks like Mumi's gonna leave Baban alone, is gonna come help Kanako. Again, if they manage to push Barbie to the back of the fleet and make her cross the finish line last, Japan would take this round. So it's probably in Baban's best interest to come help Barbie out to make sure that, the French don't end up 1 and 4. As Mumui is pushing Barbie away. as she takes the penalty. So Japanese are going to rush towards the finish line, and Baban is going to do his best to slow at least one of the Japanese player down. He'll need to push Mumui or Kanako to the back of the fleet to win this round, and he does just that by giving a penalty to Mumui. Maybe not completely screwed yet. They're very close to the finish line. This is going to be a very tight finish, but it looks like France takes the win with the 2-3 position and 1-4 for Japan. So that's 5 points each, but since Japan finished first, point goes to France. And yeah, very nice comeback from Barbie and very nice help from Baban. Well, to help his teammate out. So 5-all in this round, but 1-0 for France in this first round of the competition. Next up will be the 3v3 offshore racer. So we'll just wait for the players to join the arenas, and we'll get right back to it. Okay, so round 1 for France. France 1-0. Japan has not broken the curse yet of winning a mixed star race. Hey Alberto, nice to see you in the chat. Okay, so the players are in. We will be able to go right back to the next round in the 3v3 offshore racer. So the offshore racer, again, a slower boat in the game, a very long boat. So with a very long bowsprit at the bow. So a lot of the errors in the start for the offshore racer that I've seen so far is not taking into account this bowsprit, and therefore doing a false start and putting you in a difficult position at the start. Though being a slow boat, the fleet is likely gonna stay very tight together. Again, this is a boat that the Japanese have not managed to win a round with yet. So far, it's a repeat of it. I never said slower boats were bad. Just don't expect some Nakra action on the offshore racer is what I'm saying. So Gyansu Luke takes a penalty right now, probably doing some sort of pen start. Also a penalty for Kazuki, I believe. As the fleet divides, one part goes on the right, the other on the left. Baban comes back to the left to, well, help Kriegville over there. So Yutsuki, Kazuki, and Wimui on the Japanese side. Very strong players, all three of them, and, well, we've just seen Wimui in the 2v2 star race, so this will be his second and last race of this round. Same for Baban, since he's already played in the 2v2 mixed star, this will be his last race. With Gyansuluk and Kriegville, also very good players that we've already seen at the competition. So, can France keep their clean, well, slate so far and still pull a 5-0, or will Japan manage to break their curse and finally win a round in the offshore racer? So far, it does look like France could have the advantage coming up to the mark. Easy win Fra in 3v3. I think it's never an easy win in this competition because, well, you'll have the best players from each country playing, so. As Baban arrives first on the mark rounding over here, followed closely by his teammate Krigville and Luc. Will Luc try to slow down the other Japanese boat? Yes, he is trying to do a mark trap over here on Kazuki and on Yutsuki, I believe, yep. Manages to pull it off on Yutsuki, who is now penalized. He's going to have to recover from that. Also pushing Kazuki into a penalty. This is some great work by Luc over here. In a 3v3, basically, if you have first and second or first and third, you are guaranteed to win the round. So if Baban and Krigville can keep going fast and keep a good distance between them and the following Japanese players, well, it's gonna be a wrap for France, and it's gonna be a 2-0 for France. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for the Japanese to come back, but we've seen some upset, we've seen some good comebacks, so it's not over till it's over, you know. Again, the only real outcome of this match is who's going to end up first of their group and who's going to end up second of their group. And that will determine who will they play next in the knockout stages for the semifinals. It is going to be very hard to recover, but let's stay positive. And let's not jinx it either. Well, Baban Krigville still in front, about a 90-meter lead on the pursuing Japanese. As they approach the top mark over here. Sweet Sailor happy to try to jinx it. Exactly, Murdani. Nice to see you in the chat. Japan are staying consistent to have they have done so far in the eSailing Nations Cup. So giving the first 2 rounds to their opponents and then doing a beautiful comeback in the last 3 races. So it might be tougher because, as we said, France has been really strong so far in the group stages and, well, in the Nations Cup in general. And there is this old rivalry between these two teams, France and Japan, going up against each other in the early stages of the eSailing Nations Cup for every edition. But it looks like this round is settled for France, 1 and 2 for Baban and Krigville, and 3, 4, 5 likely for the Japanese. Luc is likely going to try to have some fun at the end over here, putting a penalty on Yutsuki. Hey JL 7-7s, is that 7-7s? How are you doing? Well, Sweet Sailor, you looks like you jinxed it, but for the Japanese with 1 disconnection, so it's going to be 1, 2 for France and 5 and 3, 4, 6 for Japan. So that is now a 2-0 for France against Japan. So far, Japan are staying consistent with their previous matches, so they might as well do the comeback. They have won every round for their J70, Ilka, and F50, but so have France, so it's going to be interesting what the Japanese are going to try to pull up in the next races. Next up, 4v4 J70, waiting for the players to join the water. And I'll be back in a second. Okay, so the players are on the water. We'll be joining them right now. 2-0 for France. It's the 4v4 in the offshore racer. Sorry, in the J70. What am I talking about? So on the French side, we have Kriegville, who you've just seen, Cool, Xevnice, Frappe, Brest Power, and Barbie. Barbie, who's been in the 2v2 mixed star race already, alongside Baban. So that's her second race, and her final race. Same for Kriegville. And on the Japanese side, Evario, FC Rich, Kanako, and Ozul. Kanako has already done one race in the 2v2 mixed star race, and well, FC Rich, you might recognize that name. He's been in the eSailing World Championship Grand Final this year as one of the 3 Japanese, I think, who made it to that final. So J70 is probably one of the most balanced boat in the game, probably the preferred boat by the community. It's very maneuverable, so we're gonna see some. So far, we've seen some excellent moves in every round. So I'm excited to see what Japan and what France can pull off. And that looks like a clean start for both teams, as FC Rich goes towards the right over here, accompanied by Vario, and on the French side, Barbie. Whereas on the other side, we have Kul, Xevnice, Brest Power, Ozul, and Kanako, who took a penalty likely from Kriegville. As they do it here, I think in a 4v4, I think basically you have to avoid being 7 and 8. As long as you're not 7 and 8, you're in a more comfortable spot to win the round. So far, both teams have won every time in the J70, so it's going to be hard to to predict who will take this one. Japan have been famous for their upsets after losing 2-0. Okay. Well, so far, not many changes. Barbie decided to tack and go under the fleet, as the rest of the fleet is approaching the ley lines over there. Kriegville in a good position to try to possibly mark trap Vario and FC Rich at the mark over there. Though it looks like Ozul is going to reach that mark first, so He's gonna try to trap Kurgzefnice and Kriegville. Well, to save Evario and FC Rich from a possible mark trap from Kriegville. As they approach the mark zone over here, what is Ozul going to do? Okay, and he decides to go fast, apparently, not slowing down, not trying to do a mark trap. No mark trap from anyone. And we do see one from Kriegville right over here. So is Ozul in Xavnice Wind Shadow? It doesn't look like... Well, it could actually, yeah. So he wasn't fast enough to escape the Wind Shadow from Krug Xavnice. What's happening at the back of the fleet over here? Bus Power trying to slow down FC Rich, but he's also covered by Kanako, who continues to go straight in the middle. I see a penalty over there from Barbie on Evario, though she is still in his Wind Shadow and is slowed down, was slowed down a lot. Almost 2 knots difference. So if my maths are correct and the leaderboard stays the same, I think the round also goes to France right now, 2, 3, 5, 16. And the total will be 36, so yeah. Well, that's the famous 7 and 8 position. If Japan stays in 7 and 8, they're gonna lose that round again. Though they still have one downwind, and most of it is gonna happen on that last downwind. Ozul and Xevnice went to the stronger winds up there in the darker zone. So the darker zones, when you look at the map, a dark zone is where there's more wind pressure, so you will go faster in these zones than in the lighter zones. Which is why everyone was aiming for that top left ley line over here. Hey, Sombrero Sport, how you doing? So he just forced FC Rich a bit over the ley line and doing his best to keep FC Rich at the back of the fleet. Though this is very close, we might see a penalty. There it is. Penalty on Kriegville by FC Rich, as FC Rich sails past him. Ozul over there slowed down to try to mark trap Klugsev. Nice. He managed to put the penalty on him. Will that be enough, though? I'm not sure yet. Japan needs to get out of the 7 and 8 position if they wish to win this round. So most of the fleet went on the right again, trying to get this wind pressure on the right hand side of the course, looking at it in this direction. Seven nice staying on Ozul, helped by Barbie and Breast Power now. Well, all the boats are still in more or less the same position, so it's going to be very hard to say now who is going to cross the finish line, 7 and 8, and who's going to win this round. If the standings stay how they are, France is going to take the win, but again, anything can happen in this last downwind, this last half of the downwind. As Breast Power approaches the finish line first, he is going to cross it, followed by Barbie, looks like it. And Hickville, maybe? So 1, 2, 4, 7 for France and 3, 5, 6, 8 for Japan. I think the win goes to France again. It's going to be 3-0 for France. So they're going to stay at the top of their group, and Japan is going to stay runner-up of this group. So 3-0 for France. Next up is the 4v4 Ilka, the Olympic boat formerly known as Laser. We will join the players in a second. Okay, everyone is in, and we'll be joining them on the water for this 4v4 Ilka, formerly known as Laser. We're going to see some new names in both teams. Uel Acer has joined the French side, so the French captain, and also a current world champion in the eSailing World Championship. Alongside Kalukirik, Gansuluk, and Trap Breast Powers who we've already seen. On the Japanese side, KGR, Kazuki, Ivario, and Ozul. KGR is also one of the finalists this year in the eSailing World Championship in Trieste. So the Ilka is also a slower upwind boat, but can go very fast on the downwind. Also quite maneuverable. So we will see some interesting moves, I'm sure, on both sides. 15 seconds till the start. As one Japanese decides to take what will look like a pen start, likely. As the chat is saying, easy win for Sweden tonight against Italy. Well, it looked like a clean start from both teams as well. Asa and Breast Power decided to go on the left, followed by Avario, while the rest of the fleet decided to go on the right. So you might see when the players start tacking, in the Ilka especially, but you also do that on several other boats. You might see this maneuver they do, which I believe in English is called a hook tack, maybe? I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong. But they would basically go as if they were going downwind before tacking to get this extra boost of speed, so kind of like if they were pumping in real life, but you can't pump virtually, so it's kind of this way that you do it on Virtual Regatta. And no, Sweet Sailor, there's never an easy win in the eSailing Nations Cup. It's going to be the top players from each team, so we'll see how Sweden fares up against Italy, who have yet to be beaten yet. If we have a look at Breast Power over here, so he's continuing towards the ley line on the right side. Everyone else decided to tack and go on the other side of the course. As Kazuki tacks right in front of Breast Power. Let's say approaching from port side, first in the mark zone, but has to go behind Kazuki, who is going to try to slow them down the best he can, giving a penalty to Breast Power, but giving his first position to Aser, who is likely going to try to return the favor on the second mark over here. As he gives the penalty to KGR, and Uzul as well takes the penalty. It looks like we have a 1-2-3 on the French side, followed by the Japanese, and Gerukirik having fun at the back, giving penalties to everyone, it looks like. It is very nice work by the French over here, yep. But they are also in 7 and 8 at the moment, French, so they want to avoid this position in a 4v4. So against Luke on the lead, having 2 Japanese boats, I think, in his wind shadow. I sail in the middle of the fleet over here as Kazuki decides to cross the water and go on the other side, join his teammate Ivario and maybe cover on Gerukirik. And it looks like we're back with the 1-2-3 on the French side, but all the boats are still very close to each other, so that's not going to mean much until the end of that second downwind coming up, as the players are approaching the top mark over here. Okay, so, well, 3 French approaching the mark in front of Japanese over here. That could be an issue for the Japanese, depending on how the French play it. Acer putting a penalty on Ozul, almost putting a penalty on KGR, and finally takes one himself, as Brest Power and Luc decide to go fast and go straight for the finish line. I don't think Avario is going to catch him in the wind shadow, as this duel over here between Acer and Kazuki continues and Acer takes a second penalty. This might be an issue for the French if they finish 7 and 8. As Acer is chasing down Ozul, trying to put Ozul at least one position back, as Brest Power and Gansoluk over there up there have crossed the finish line. So it's going to be 4 Japanese versus 2 French. The 2 French need to avoid the 7 and 8 position. As Kerik barely misses KGR over here, this is going to be a very tight finish. Look at the difference in the times in this as they cross the finish line. 29 seconds, 29.4, 29.4, 29.5. This was extremely close. But it's 1-2-6-8 for the French and 3-4-5-7 for the Japanese. So I believe the French might take the win. Let me double check that. And yes, the French have taken this round as well in the 4x4 Ilka, 17-19. That was very close at the end. And next up is going to be the fastest boat in the competition, the F50. So currently waiting for the players to join the arena, and I'll be right back with you in a second. Oh yeah, good question, Alberto. Is it going to be 5-0 or 4-1? Well, France has not lost a single round in the competition so far. But the Japanese have also won every F50 race that they have played. I guess everything is more or less going to depend on who takes the best start and who manages to take this lead at the start. Still waiting for the players to join. And we will start very soon. So we're waiting for the last Japanese player to join the race, missing on FC Rich. On the French side, we will have Acer, Kelukirik, and Xev Nice for this final round. And on the Japanese side, it's going to be Yutsuki, KGR, and FC Rich once he manages to join. This is going to be a very fast and intense round for sure. What do you guys think will happen? Will Japan manage to take the win on this one, or will the French keep it at a 5-0 as every game they have played so far? So waiting for a couple more minutes. Looks like he has issues to join. Well, I guess we can have a look at what's going to happen so far in later on today. So today's 3 matches. So the first match being France against Japan, who's well finishing after this race coming up as soon as all players are in. Later today is going to be Germany versus Switzerland. So the last match of Group A for the third and fourth place in the group. Both teams have lost both of their matches. Um, but it will be still an intense match because they have great players on both sides. And for the Group B match tonight, it's going to be Italy versus Sweden. I hear some rumors in the chat that it's going to be an easy win for Sweden. We will see how that goes. And Sweet Sailor thinking the Japanese might take it. Is that going to be a jinx or is that going to be a blessing? We will see. Okay, players are in. So we can join them on the water. Yeah, we have exceptional players on both sides. And I have to agree with Sweet Sailor. I think everything is going to depend on the start. Who takes the best start, who gets to that first mark, reach the mark first, and how that first upwind plays out. Easy France 5-0. I don't think it's going to be easy. We'll see, we'll see. But then Alberto always, often says the opposite of what you think, to not jinx it. How about tonight versus Italy? It's never easy, but we're trying to hurt the pizza kids. It's all about the mind games, Sweet Sailor. And a false start for FC Rich. That is unfortunate as Karukirik, Xav Nice, and Yutsuki get to that mark first, and will Xav Nice and Karukirik manage to pull away? This is going to depend a lot on Yutsuki if he can catch up one of the top 2 French players over there, so that his teammates can catch up. And what is that? Friendly fire? I think that might have been friendly fire on from Xav Nice on Karukirik. But the French in this 1-2 position, so if they stay like this, this is going to be a win for France. Commentator's curse, which is why I never give predictions. Yeah, you have to be careful with the predictions when you're commentating the match. Way too many times Alberto has jinxed it. Okay, well, Xevnice looks like well ahead of everyone else. You know I have this, I know you do. It's the Sailor Jinx, yep. And penalty from Asa on FC Rich. On the, yeah, FC Rich. Like Asa is going to... Oh, and he is taking a penalty from Yutsuki, but Yutsuki in a weird position back there. Put the Jackson 5 music and be copyright claimed and a copy. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna put the Jackson 5. I don't want any copyrights claims or whatever. Well, FC Rich still did a good job trying to catch up SL over there with KGR. It's going to be hard, but maybe not impossible. And he could ruin that for me. What did he do? Speaking of pizza kids early on, Sweet Sailor, and all the Italians watching us, you prefer pizza or do you prefer pasta? Well, Xevnice and SL getting to that mark first. And Xevnice taking a penalty, probably touching the mark over there. But I don't think that'll slow them down enough for the Japanese to catch up. I think we're going to witness a 5-0 here for France again. Stefano Bonatti, pizza with pasta. I have never seen that before. Alberto, what is this? You're gonna say pineapple again on that, is that it? Okay, well 1-2 for France, 3-4 Japan, 5 France again, and 6 Japan, so it's gonna be a win for France. In their last round of the group stage. I know you're trolling, Alberto. Okay, so this is the final score. France 5, Japan 0. France keeping their winning streak of 5-0 and not having lost a single round in the competition so far. Although Japan has lost their first 2 rounds, they have not managed to win the last 3 as they have done in the previous matches. So this is how the final standings would look like. It will be France at the top of the group, Japan in second, and then we will see tonight between Germany and Switzerland who will be third and fourth. I'm going to avoid all the comments about the pineapples and the pizza and the durian fruits. That was some great racing. France have managed to prove again that there is a reason why they are the world champions. And thank you everyone for joining, and I'll see you later today at 9 p.m. for Germany versus Switzerland, and then at 9:30 for Italy versus Sweden. Thank you for joining, and see you in a bit.